Hey there, my name is Erica Lynn, and this is the Rowland podcast.
Erica, what's up?
What's up? It's after the new year, and I'm ready for a crazy 2025 already. So
I know. We were talking right before we started. We were talking about taking the decorations down, either if you were a right away person or an after the new year person. Sounds like a little bit of combination of both.
I was going to say kind of a combo of both. I'd say I started on the first, taking down some, but I have still the Christmas tree up in the living room right now. So that'll probably be what I'll end up doing after the podcast here, is getting to work on taking down some things. But it's still nice to kind of have some of the Christmas holiday, feel going around.
Yeah,
but here in Florida, it just stays so warm. So it's kind of hard to tell it's, the holidays without
Did you grow up in Florida?
I actually grew up in Pennsylvania. I've been here in Florida for about 10 years now. So I grew up with the snow. I grew up with the very cold, gloomy weather for most of the winter here. Once I got to the point where I knew I wanted to move down to Florida, I was like, I got to get away from this cold weather. It's just not me. So
that was the reason that you moved to Florida, the cold weather?
One of the reasons. So I had visited Florida. So my grandma at the time lived in Dunedin. We had traveled back and forth to visit her. And it was a time in my life. I moved down about 21, 22. So I just finished college. I got a degree in graphic design. I was kind of in between of I had a couple different jobs, working 2 jobs at the time also while I was in school. So it was I'm at a good point where I feel like I can move, and I'm just going to take that jump because I just know this isn't where I need to be. So my grandma very graciously let me move in with her for a couple months while I started house hunting. I bought a condo in Clearwater on the water a couple months later. And from there, it just kind of took off. I bought myself a fishing kayak. I found it on Craigslist for $500. I was I got to start out small. And it was cool working in ortho at the time, orthodontics, braces and Invisalign. We only worked 4 days a week. So I always had 3-day weekends, which is great because, the weather down here is most of the time always really nice. So every chance I got, I was just out on the water, out on my kayak, teaching myself a whole new way of fishing from what I grew up fishing up north, actually the New York coast, for fluke and flounder with my pop at the time. So it's just totally different fishing.
Was it almost all saltwater fishing growing up, or did you also in Pennsylvania fish in freshwater?
That's a good question. No, it's actually mostly saltwater. My pop was the fisherman in the family. Although in Pennsylvania there's lakes and streams, he wasn't as familiar with that type of fishing, and my parents weren't really into fishing at all. So I knew of people locally, there's little streams, and I looking back, I wish I would have gotten into it sooner because there is great trout fishing. And my husband and I recently went back up to Pennsylvania to visit, and we did do a little bit of fly fishing. We got some of our first trout, so that was cool. But no, mostly saltwater fishing when I was real little. And then my pop-up actually passed away when I was 10, 12 years old. So we kind of stopped fishing at that point. But I had I started so young that I had that just, it was instilled in me of just loving the water and loving being out on the boat and fishing. So once I moved down to Florida, it was just I have to get back out on the water. I know this is me. So let's just take that jump and teach myself a whole new way of fishing. I had no idea what I was doing.
That's an interesting thing, because when you come down to a different area, we have so many people moving into Florida now, and they're coming from all different places. Maybe they have freshwater backgrounds or saltwater backgrounds or some sort of different fishing background. When you come to Florida, there's a lot of fishing opportunities, but honestly, it's not it's not a given. It's not that easy. You can go lots of places and not catch anything. And in fact, you just get bit by bugs and you see 20 snakes, and it's not a great experience at all. How did you start to learn how to fish in Florida? I mean, you said you got a kayak, but then what was your first species that you had success with?
So just a quick funny story, because again, I didn't know what I was doing at all when I first started. I mean, it was different up north growing up because, I was so little. Pop-Up had everything rigged already. Like, he was teaching me some stuff, but it's not things I remembered at that point. So, I mean, just starting out, I was using 60-pound leader. I was out there just using a huge hook. Like, I just didn't know what I was doing. So my first fish was actually a catfish, which is a really cool fish I was so excited. Now, looking back, people consider that a trash fish, even though it's still fish. But down here, it's just not a species we try to go for. But at the time, I was just like, I caught something. I took a picture of it. It was huge. I was texting it to my friends at the time, like, can I eat this? Like, I just had no idea. But that was really exciting at the time. And then I think I upgraded and finally got into some trout. Some friends at the time had kind of pushed me in the right direction of like, all right, you need to use a little bit smaller leader and try some paddle tails and things like that on the kayak. So I was able to get around a little bit better and start to catch more fish like that.
Like redfish and stuff?
There really wasn't too many redfish I found over where I was in Clearwater. It was mostly trout and snook at the time.
So the way that I first came across any of your accounts was probably YouTube, I think. You've been doing YouTube for a long time.
I have. I started really going like gung-ho after COVID or during COVID. I was furloughed. I was working in orthodontics at the time, and due to COVID, the whole office shut down. I knew I wanted to get into YouTube, but as you know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of editing on the backside of things. So it's just going to take up a lot more time than I had available, still working a full-time job. So once I was furloughed, I was, let's just dive right into this and let me try to bang out some videos while I have time. And I was getting like one video out a week. And as you know, the more you put out videos, the better. It's all about staying consistent. So I started to get a lot of traction just from having those videos put out regularly. And it kind of took off from there. And then after I came back to work, it was definitely hard. I'm like, wow, this is great. Like, I could kind of do everything on my own. And now I got to work for someone else again. So I got to the point where I felt that it was better off to quit my job. I'm going to jump into this full time, see where it goes. And because that way I have the time available to take on other sponsors and really be able to designate enough time to produce content for other people. So that's super
cool. That's actually one of the reasons why I started this podcast, was to find that out about so many people, whether you were going to be a professional charter captain or open a fly shop or, whatever. There's this moment where you kind of have got this little thing going on the side, and then you've got like a more sure thing that you're doing. Like you had the other job, and then you're thinking, well, this YouTube seems to be going pretty well. I like it better. Like that jump is where I have a lot of people over the years have messaged me, asked me questions about like, this is where I am and this is what I want to do. What do you suggest? And I'm always hesitant to say what I think to those people because I don't know what their situation is exactly. But usually the information that I give them is, man, if that's what you want to do, you got to jump. You got to go for it. What was that like for you? Like, did you get YouTube to a place where you were making almost as much money, or like, where were you when you decided I'm not going to do this anymore and I'm going full time into this other creative role?
Good question. Yeah, good question. It was starting to compensate for what I was making orthodontics. At the time, this was a couple years ago now. Now it's been a lot more saturated, but I felt like the money was pretty good in the beginning of the views I was getting. I was able to, compensate for what I was going to be losing, not working a full-time job. And, through other social media, and then I had other contracts with other companies, so they were supplementing, some other fee payments that way. So I think for anybody, you really should have more than one outlet of income. So having like little things here and there, adding up to obviously what you make at the end of the year is best, and not having like all your eggs in one basket. And actually on that topic, I know you mentioned the charter captain. You guys are going to hear it here first. I am getting my captain's license. I'm very excited. Yeah, so I'll be Captain Erica like any day now. Everything's done, all the paperwork, did all the classes and everything. So
that's cool.
I will be doing.
That's also a question that I get a ton. I'd like to know about what your experience was. How did you decide how you were going to do your captain's license? Because today, you can do a lot of it digitally online. You could go into an in-person class. You could probably, like my friend, the one that I got my captain's license from, Flynn Smith in Key West, he actually takes his students out on a boat, and you can actually shoot the flares and do all this stuff while you're out on the boat. So there's a lot of different ways to get a captain's license. How did you do it, and was that the best way? What would you recommend for somebody now after you've gone through the process?
Yeah, good question. I would love the hands-on experience. That would have been really cool because I haven't ever actually shot a flare, so that would be fun. But no, I did the online course through the Maritime Mariners. There's like the whole online option now these days that it's kind of like you work at your own pace. They give you, once you sign up, they give you about a year of time to finish. So while I'm still busy doing YouTube videos and everything, I was doing some of the classes here and there. It is a lot of information, but it is nice because they have everything kind of broken down into videos, like very thorough cartoon videos as they go through each chapter, and they kind of read you everything like through those videos. So it's actually pretty, it's easy to engage with what's going on in each section. So it's easier to kind of retain all the information because it is a lot, especially once you get to the chart plotting and all that fun stuff. But no, it was actually really, relatively easy. It took me a little while because I took my time through it. But at the end, they have the tests that are proctored. So that was a little different for me, that they had, like, for example, the chart plotting. They had sent me a packet in the beginning. They're like, all right, don't open this until test day. So you have to set up your whole computer so that they can see you. You can't see them at all, but you just know that it's recording. So you have to like follow the directions, like make sure you have to like hold the camera and like show the room to make sure you're like, there's nothing on the wall, like helping you cheat or something like that. But it was just kind of a cool, weird experience. Like, so it was proctored. I did all the exams that way. It was all, again, pretty easy. And then once I passed all of the class part of it, it was the paperwork and, getting a physical and getting a captain to write off on hours for you and a couple different other things to put together. It took me a little bit of time, but that's all submitted. I've been getting some emails of updates, and I should be getting a confirmation any day now that I'll be officially Erica, Captain Erica. Yeah.
Fantastic. Kind of cool. Don't let it expire. That would be my advice. I've renewed mine a whole bunch of times, but if you let it expire, you have to go through the whole thing over again.
Oh my gosh, no.
If you renew your license while it's still valid, you just renew it. All you have to do, sometimes you have to take a drug test, sometimes you have to submit some sort of paperwork or whatever, but you don't have to take the test again. But if you let it expire, you have to take the test again. So don't do that.
I'd rather not take the test again. So I'll definitely make sure I renew it.
Something, I think.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So I see this. What is that little boat that you have that you're fishing out of?
So it's a little 16-foot skiff. It's a South Dade skiff. They're made down in Miami. I've at this point known the builder really closely. Been working with them for a couple years. It's such a fun boat. I will say it's
a cool little boat.
Yeah, the one I have now, tricked it out with everything. I mean, I have the jack plate, the trim tabs, the GPS, the lights, like it's got everything. And but the best part in terms of fishing, it floats so shallow. And I mean, a couple inches. It's just absolutely crazy when I go out to the flats. I mean, there's areas that my husband and I say all the time, like, there's no way another boat's getting through here. Like, not only that it does float so shallow, but it is also a little bit narrower. So, I mean, we get into places that it's just
so where is fishing that it's so shallow?
So up north a little, like Hudson area.
Okay.
There's some really cool flats and some creek areas that, I mean, we've kind of figured out the area at this point pretty well, that we know what tides are going to be coming in and off on. There's a lot of areas that we ourselves have to look at because we know that, hey, if it's anything under 1.6, we can't even get up here. Like, it is too shallow at that point. But I mean, as you know, I mean, there's areas where if you can just get over that little hump, there's a whole hole of fish in the block. Yeah, and it's just loaded, just so many cool
thing about having a really shallow boat, in my experience, is that it's also that's the boat that you're actually going to stick. You're going to get stuck. Have you gotten that boat stuck? Because it's super shallow. You want to test it out. Like, how shallow will it go?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I've definitely gone down and pushed a few times. So but it is crazy because I mean, I'll be pushing, but like I can still float in like this much water. It's just crazy.
Right. So is that the boat that you'll guide out of? Is that going to be your guide operation, going back into shallow water like that?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So I'm going to kind of do things a little different than most that are guys, but I'm going to be focusing only on female anglers and trying to just do the fly fishing thing. So it's not going to be probably booming business, but I'll still be doing the YouTube stuff, and it'll be something fun to do on the side and to help some lady anglers get out on the water more, which I think would be really cool.
Well, my whole career, I've seen that happen. When I first started guiding, was in Jackson, Wyoming, and I started guiding with Lorianne Murphy. Do you know who she is? Lorianne Murphy. She had this thing called Real Women.
The name sounds familiar. I don't know.
1992 or whatever. She was kind of on that road of like, I want to kind of get a female anglers thing going. And she had this thing called Real Women, and Orvis got behind it, and it was very successful. And she did a great thing. She got a lot of women into the sport, a lot of them. And I think that it was really good because, in a certain, I mean, especially out there, you go out there and just a bunch of old cowboys are rowing the boats, and they're nice and everything. But I think that there's a real place. Where do you see that going for, where do you think we are right now with women anglers entering the sport? I think a lot of people entered the sport, men, women, children, every type of person entered the sport kind of around COVID, but it seemed like there was kind of a surge in women angling, and a lot of companies were getting behind it and making equipment for women specifically. But then it seems to me like that has kind of plateaued a little bit, but I don't know. What's your opinion of that?
I think social media played a factor of that also, of having more women jumping into the sport. Because I mean, you see that kind of back when it was mostly just photos on Instagram, for example. Like, I mean, I feel like maybe that's just my algorithms, but I was seeing so many women anglers out there catching these amazing fish, swordfish, and just all kinds of crazy species. That it's one of those like, well, if they can do that, I can do that, or I want to try to catch that next because that was bigger than the last one I caught. But yeah, so I think social media, good or bad, I think got a lot of women into the sport, and I feel like a lot have dropped out. I feel like social media, especially with the reels nowadays, it's kind of harder to make fishing content that's attractive in a way for women. So I don't know if as many women are still sticking to it, if they are mostly just doing it for the social media aspect. But in terms of fly fishing, I've seen a lot more girls getting into it. I have a couple girls here local that are always my go-tos, like if I have a free day and I just want to get out with one of the girls, I'll text them. But I recently actually went up to South Carolina for a women's fly fishing tournament. And that was actually the first time I had been around so many women that were into the fly fishing sport. So that was really empowering, and seeing a couple of the other women there who were actually guides as well. So it was just really cool to actually be around a lot of women that were into the sport, because there's really not that many of us. I mean, even here in Tampa, where you think of it's a big area, it's a huge demographic of people. There's not that many women that are into the fly fishing game, and I think that's like a market that it can potentially grow, and we can see more anglers coming out of this area. I think a lot of it is just learning how to fly fish, because it can be definitely a little intimidating. I just started a couple of years ago, to be honest, and I was awful in the beginning. It's just all a learning curve. But it's so fun. Like, obviously, once you get the hang of it and you start catching fish, you become addicted. And I used to love my spinning rod, and throwing the topwater, plugs around docks was my go-to. And now my go-to is getting out on the skiff, getting on the flats, and just pulling around looking for reds.
I started guiding in Wyoming for trout, and there we would take, like Lori Ann brought in lots of women that would, groups of women, but you would also take, like a husband and wife, a lot of groups like that. And I don't know why it's intimidating for women, honestly, because the truth is that when I would have a husband and wife, the wife would always catch more fish, always, every time, and that's bigger fish and better fish, mostly because the dude was like, I've already done that. I've been doing this longer than you've been alive. Like, I was 21 when I started, right? So like, I've been doing this for a long time. You just take care of her or whatever, and I'll just go over here. And he'd go off and do his thing, and then she would listen and do exactly what we were. What I was telling her to do was what worked yesterday, right? This guy had success last year or 2 years ago, or when he was a kid, I don't know. And the wife would always catch more fish, always. And even in saltwater, it's almost always that way. And I don't know what it is, but women tend to be certainly better at listening and, doing what the guide is saying for whatever reason. And then also not like trying to muscle the fly rod, like trying to do it real hard, right? Like they tend to be like, easier to teach, and they don't have any bad habits for the most part. But I don't know. What do you think is intimidating about what could be done in fishing to make it less intimidating for women? Because it would be great if more women were fishing. That would be good for the sport.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny they were mentioning about women kind of picking up on things a little faster, because it's not the first time I've heard about either. I've heard from plenty of other people. It's, women, they're just better listeners, like we, for most or some that, we just are able to listen. And all right, you're the expert, you're the guide, you know what you're doing, and I'm going to do exactly what you tell me to do. And as long as, the guide's it kind of explains things really well. Usually the women will pick up on that. But that's funny. It's not the first time I've heard that. I would love to see more women in the sport. I don't know if it's just that, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of get into the guiding aspect of things, because I think it's also just being able to get on the water that not a lot of women. Think of it as a lot of men are the ones that own the boats. Mostly it's the men that, they go out because it's their boat. Not as many women have boats, especially if they don't know what they're doing at all, and they're just starting out. And so it's like they either need an invite, or I don't know if they're quite comfortable enough to just reach out to a guide at that point who's a male. So I think just giving them an option, like an outlet of, hey, this is a girl that fishes, like she can teach me. I want to go out on the boat, but it'll just be an option that, I mean, I'll be happy to take them fishing, show them how to do things, show them the water, get them in love with the sport. But even kind of taking it back from that, I think if you have a passion for the outdoors and the water, I mean, you can start small, just like I did. Get a kayak. I mean, I put it up on the roof of my car. It didn't have anything crazy, I just made it happen. But you start small and you kind of learn from there. It doesn't mean you don't need to jump right into the swordfish and the crazy big trophy fish. But just getting out on the water is just a blessing. And just, again, as long as you fall in love with the sport from there, I mean, there's always opportunities to get out.
Okay. So, will you plan on doing most of your advertising like through the channels that you're already using, like, or will you do anything different to recruit more women anglers and let people know that you're actually licensed and ready to go now?
Yeah, good question. I'm going to just focus on social media at this point. I have a pretty big following that, I mean, just social media and then word of mouth. I at this point, I don't foresee it being a full-time operation just because it is going to be so specialized, although that would be awesome. Because I do still want to be able to dip into the YouTube game and social media. So that'll take away time of, me getting out on the water and being able to fish and not just, pulling somebody else to fish.
Well, that's kind of the thing about guiding. Like some people get into guiding because they think that they're going to fish all the time. But the fact is that a fishing guide rarely fishes. You're going to fish less as a fishing guide. You're going to be on the boat a lot. You're going to be on the water a lot, but you're not actually the one fishing. And some people, that's not an expected thing for them. And then they decide this isn't really what I want to do. Like I want to be the one on the other end of the boat. But then there's lots of people that, like myself included, I found that being on the back of the boat, I actually liked it even more. Like getting, teaching and putting this person in a position to catch a fish. And then, realizing that in a lot of cases, there's no way that person would have ever been able to catch that particular fish if I hadn't have done what I did. And there's an art to that. There's a real art to that. Not only getting the boat in the right position, but also communicating to them in a way that it doesn't make them too nervous and that they can actually get the job done. And that's a tricky thing. And it takes a lot of time to do it. And some people are really great at it. Some people are really terrible at it. but that is something that you never know how you're going to react to that until you start getting into that on a regular basis. Like, one trip's cool, but when you get out there and it is absolutely the perfect day and it's literally the best you've ever seen, like how does that feel when somebody else is on the bow and it's not you? Like that's when like, okay, I'm cut out for this. Like I was more excited than if I were on the bow. Or you're kind of like, dang, I can't believe I'm back here this day.
I could see both ways. I mean, obviously just being out on the water on a nice day is golden. I had done actually in just different levels of the fishing sport. I've been a first mate before on charters for, local captains who do the live bait game, and we get a bunch of greenies. We have 4 or 5 people on the boat, and I'm hooking all the fish up for them. Half the time I'm having to cast for them too, because they don't know how to cast at all, or they'd rather me do it. So I've been through that side of things where it's fun, but just being on the skiff is just such a different experience because you're seeing the fish before you catch it. You're visually hunting that fish down. So even if I'm on the back, I pull my husband all the time. So there's a lot of times that I'm just pulling and he's fishing because that's just how it works. But just being a part of the hunt is such a fun experience because you're, like you said, you're able to, all right, 3:00, it's, he's facing left, just get a couple feet out in front of him, like tick, 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 tick. And it's cool just being a part of the catch, even if you're not the one holding the fishing rod in your hands. The whole fly fishing game is really fun. It's very addicting. And that's why I kind of wanted to get into it because I don't mind being up on the platform. I really do enjoy being a part of the catch, even like I said, if I'm not holding the rod, it's still fun for me. So I'm excited. We'll see where it goes.
Your main species will be like that you'll be guiding for.
Yeah, good question. I'm going to be focusing on redfish. Is mostly what I'll see out there.
In Tampa Bay, is that where you're thinking about?
Yeah, the general area, maybe up north a little bit. Depends on I have such a very wide range of spots. So it'll be also kind of where are you coming up from? I can meet you with this spot versus this spot or whatever's closer.
That's cool. You're gonna do great with it, I'm sure. And so I want to talk to you also about social media. Like, you've been on social media long enough. Like, what are the biggest challenges that you've seen in social media for yourself personally? I mean, you're coming at it from a totally different angle than I am. Your experience is going to be completely different on social media than my experience on social media, like negativity, things like that. How do you deal with any of that?
I'm really blessed. I don't get that many negative comments or that much pushback on my content, which is a blessing, which I can see from other people that they get a lot more crap from people on things they post, and I'm so glad that's not me. But
do you think that when you see that from other accounts, that maybe it's the way that they're posting it or the post that they choose to make that is drawing the negativity? Like, don't you think that you can kind of control that by the content a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's also just guys, giving other guys hard times, whereas just me being a woman, that same guy may not make that same comment, because I think I
they might make another comment.
Or they make another comment. Yeah. So I get a lot of like those type of comments also. I know just read them or don't. Obviously, I don't usually read them. Huh?
Do you read them? Do you read the comments?
I'll read the comments for a little while. I get so many that it's hard to keep up with. But the nice thing with Instagram now, if I'm following people like specifically and they comment on something, I'll see those and then I can respond to those. But no, for the most part, I do read through everything. But if it's like an old post and people are commenting more on it, I'm up higher on the little Tigger bar, and I'm just staying up to date with the more current stuff that I've been posting.
Sure.
But no,
the most positive platform is.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm really only on Instagram and YouTube. I tried getting on TikTok. I just couldn't do it. But what did
you like about TikTok?
I still love Instagram for the picture, like where it's just only pictures. It was just like easier to whip out content. Now the reels just take a lot more time to put together. So I think that's also just goes along with the TikTok stuff. I really need to get on there though, but I
don't know. Maybe the wave's over. I don't know. Maybe it's just beginning. There could be a ban. I think that whether there is a ban or there's not a ban, or even just that that it's something that's in the news that there could possibly be a ban. I think maybe that has something to do with more people jumping over there or waiting. I don't know which is going on. We're on TikTok, but I don't go on TikTok. I don't ever go there. And I don't have it on my phone. It's not that I don't even want it. I just don't, my social media bandwidth is full right now. And so we just it just gets posted there and it does fine. But I don't think that any social media account is going to really thrive if you're not nurturing it and you're not answering the comments and you're not, I mean, what do you think? Like, how do you grow a social media platform today?
Yeah. I mean, definitely keeping up the engagement, keeping up with your posting schedule. I mean, back when things were really cranking, like in the middle of the summer, winter's a little slower, but I mean, getting a post out once a day is ideal. And like you said, commenting on responding to comments and just being more engaged with other people's posts, I feel like does help a lot. Just kind of getting your content at the front of someone's scrolling page. But it's changed a lot, since, I mean, even the last couple of years.
What changes have you seen? What comes to mind right away?
Aside from the reels, which has been a learning curve because I'm not really a fan of them, but it is what it is. I think the algorithms have changed a lot too. So, with things I was doing in the beginning where I was seeing hundreds of people coming in, new subscribers, it's gotten a little slower. But I think it's just you just have to play the algorithm game. And I've noticed, just for example, with story posts on Instagram, if you let the ticker expire through the 24 hours and then you repost, that next post will go not viral, but it'll reach more people than if you just keep posting every 4 hours, for example.
If you look at that, when I look at the story thing, it's like so many people see it and then less people see the next one, less people see the next one, less people see the next one. But like what you're saying, I've noticed the same thing about the stories. But I've also noticed that when stories first came out, the swipe ups on stories were a very effective way to get a click or whatever. And now
they took that away. I know.
It just doesn't even seem to work at all. I mean, you can still click. I mean, you can still do the swipe ups.
It doesn't swipe up though. The only option now is to put a link. Obviously, you're going to put a link, but it only just puts the icon on the story. So someone has to physically click it instead of swiping up. Not like it should make that big of a difference, but I feel like that does affect.
No, it made a huge difference because you get thousands of clicks or hundreds of clicks or tens of clicks to now you get 2 clicks, 4 clicks on something like that. And I guess it's as simple as Instagram doesn't want anyone going away from their platform for any period of time at all. They're fine to put a link there, I guess, as long as it's routing it through. Like you see those ads that people put on Instagram and you can click it there, but you stay within Instagram. Those, I'm sure those are very effective.
You're like selling a product.
Not swipe ups on the stories anymore. They've just totally squashed that.
I know. I miss the swipe ups because it was easy. You tag a sponsor and it's like, swipe up for more content or more products, or it just was easy. For some reason, clicking a button now is difficult for people. I don't know.
I don't know if it's difficult for people. I think that Instagram as a platform made it not as effective for whatever reason. Like it's just not. I just don't think they want you going there. Just like when you try to promote a YouTube video on Instagram or Facebook, no thanks. They don't push that. Like if there's a YouTube link in there, I think it immediately gets suppressed.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, and even with, what was I going to say? Yeah, just even like the bio click links, I feel like have gone down. But yeah, just the algorithms in general, like I feel like things are always, like even still, like they're just always changing something or the algorithms and just making it so much more difficult. Because if you're not paying for the ads, like as a user, if you want your post to like reach more people, now they want you to pay for things, and you need the blue little icon next to your name so you get more exposure. It's like, well, geez, and now I'm paying for all this stuff. Whereas I was just getting it all organically before, just it's all about money, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I think so. And attention. It's all about attention. I think with the swipe ups is one of the things where it took people off of the platform. So they're like, no, let's don't do that. Let's keep them right here. And I don't know. I kind of understand Instagram better than I understand more of the other one, TikTok and YouTube. Facebook, I don't even really go there that much anymore, even though the Facebook pages do really well. But
you guys have a ton of followers.
I don't particularly go there though, but I think it's because of, probably the demographic. A lot of people my age are on Facebook, even though I prefer Instagram myself. But I think that's probably the way. What's been your biggest video? Do you have one that's really gone crazy?
My biggest video, I've had some good ones on the skiff. Just throwing shrimp around docks. it's just weird how certain videos where in my mind, I'm like, oh, I caught a swordfish. Like we went to Louisiana and we caught swordfish. Like it was such an epic day. And I just think like that's the type of video that people want to watch. But then it's the snapper video throwing shrimp around docks. I think what it is people want to be able to like associate and have a connection with the video. Like, oh, I've done that before, or I could easily do that. And like I said, my easy snapper videos throwing out dead bait or like I said, shrimp around docks are the ones that end up getting the most views. And it's like, come on, people, what about fly fishing? Like there's so much other cool stuff I post, but
I think you're onto something right there, that is exactly what's going on, because it used to be like when we first started television is like the crazier, the more exotic, the further away, the more lifetime kind of bucket list trip that you could put on your TV show, the better the viewership was. But now I think things have changed completely to more of what you're saying, that if it's like in somebody's backyard, if it's even a local pond, more people are going to watch it, but more people have it accessible to them through YouTube or Instagram or TikTok. And it's something that they're more interested in than some, the Seychelles or Hawaii or some kind of crazy trip that they're probably not going to go.
Right. I mean, you see the videos down in like South Florida where they're fishing out of the canals and stuff. It's like, and I mean, there's tons of fish in there. It's crazy the species you can catch out of these tiny little canals. But some of those videos just go so viral because it's also like anybody can drive down to one of those and throw a piece of hot dog or something like random like in there, and chances are you're probably going to catch something. So I think it's if people can associate like I can do that myself, then they're also looking at the video of I'm learning some sort of extra tip that I'm going to get when I go to do this myself, especially out here in the Bay, whether it's just easy shrimp or dead bait, the frozen thread fins. So you get a whole box of them. It's so easy. But that's the stuff a lot of people, it's just the easier fishing type of.
I feel like sometimes the best videos that we've done are the instructional ones, like a knot video. Knot videos will do really well, or something like that, to where somebody can use that. But how to skip a lure under a bush, that doesn't do so good. Or like how to fly fish, how to throw a long cast, that just doesn't seem to do that well. And so I don't know, maybe it's the way it's filmed or whatever. But the bucket list trips, now whether or not it makes a great video, it makes a great trip and a great experience. And I've got one coming up this year. I'm going to the Seychelles this year. I'm super excited about it. And but I was going to ask you if you had a bucket list trip.
Bucket list trip. I've always wanted, we're talking big. I've always wanted to go to Australia. Obviously there's amazing, the GTs and just is so crazy. Just another world over there fishing. So that would be definitely a bucket list area to go to. I've actually never been to Costa Rica either. So that's obviously a lot more local, and the bill fishing out there is amazing from what I've seen and what I've heard. So that's also to do at some point, hopefully soon. But I know I it's funny, I didn't mention this earlier, but we watch you on TV all the time. So it's like we've followed along with a lot of your trips. And you definitely go to some really cool places and catch a lot of cool fish. So it's kind of cool.
Mostly on my show, it's been lucky enough to do most of it out of Hawks Cay, and in the Florida Keys, we have so many species that we can fish for. I remember when we were first getting the show started, we were thinking, man, there's only so many things we could do. And then we started thinking about it. It's like, no, we started naming off all the different species. And it's like, we could catch jacks, and then we could catch jacks on the surface. We could catch jacks on fly. We could catch snook. We could catch, I don't know. We counted up like 50 some odd species. And then we thought about it. And we were like, Bill Dance has been catching the same species almost in the same pond for 50 years. I think we're going to be good. I think we've got tons of opportunity to change things up and do things differently, which is great. But the Florida Keys is an incredible backdrop for a lot of variety, and you've got a lot of variety in Tampa Bay too. I mean, from both the inshore and the offshore. I mean, you've got almost all the same fish available to you up there, and clear water. Like I like the clear water, but we also have the dirty water Everglades kind of stuff, which is nice. But so do you. I mean, you could go from where you are, and we've done this before. Go all the way up there to fish, or from there. I remember on our first redfish tournament that we ever did. The first one, professional redfish tournament, was in Mosquito Lagoon. We did really well there because that was very similar to the type of fishing that we do in the Florida Keys. It was like sight fishing. You had to be in really shallow water. You pole, you cast to them. It was almost exactly the same as what we were doing in Flamingo. But then we went to Punta Gorda and fished out of Burnt Store Marina. I think there were 65 teams in the tournament. I think we came in 65th place. So second place finish to a 65th place finish. And boy, it was very, very humbling, very humbling. So then the next time we went to that same area, we said, we're going straight to Flamingo. Like, I don't care. So we just got in the boat and went as far down to where a place that we knew we could catch fish as possible. But you're not that far away from the Everglades where you are.
No, not at all. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I feel like Tampa is pretty centrally located. I mean, we fish up with a guide in Cedar Key area, which is like 2 hours. So, I mean, from there, we're catching like our tarpon on fly up there. I mean, it's also in Tampa also, but I mean, all the way down the coast. Huh?
Who do you fish with up there?
Trey Mickle.
Okay.
He's really good friends with Harry Spears, like Flip Pallet, all them. But he has a little 16 and 18 foot skiff, and he kind of does a lot of the similar like sight casting stuff. Has tons of great size redfish up there, and it's nature's coast. It's just gorgeous. There's not, I mean, no people up there at all. So,
but that did have some hurricane damage on the first hurricane this year, right? That area.
They did, yeah. They got a lot. Back-to-back storms. They got a lot of flooding up there, and my husband and I had actually stayed in Cedar Key this past year before the storms, and we were able to see Cedar Key before it got wiped off. I mean, I know buildings are still there, but a lot of the restaurants and the things on the water were really affected from the storm. So it was a little disheartening. I had that in some of my YouTube videos when we went up there to get tarpon on fly, is that there's all these amazing restaurants, and it's crazy. All that's gone now. They're starting to rebuild. They're definitely coming back. They're still there. Not all the restaurants are coming back as quickly, but it is such a gorgeous place. Like I said, there's not that many people up there, which is, for us fishermen, are usually the things that we like about places, to get away from people. So, but yeah, great fishing up there all the way down the coast from Tampa. I mean, we have the whole Tampa Bay, Clearwater. We get great tarpon migrations through St. Pete, even down into like the Bradenton area. I mean, tons of redfish all over, snook around docks. There's just, I guess, so many species.
How did y'all do in the hurricanes this year in Tampa? You had some come through there.
Yeah. We ended up having a lot of flooding here. I think of like St. Pete as part of Tampa because they're so close, and we have a lot of friends on the water that unfortunately had a couple feet of storm surge come in their house. So it was like on everyone's stories, they're taking out drywall, like from, it's just crazy. Like their whole house is just empty. They had to throw all their belongings out on the street. I feel like they're still picking up some stuff out there, and this is now months later. Luckily my home was fine. I'm up on a lake in Carrollwood. So it's like 10 miles north inland. So luckily we didn't have to worry about any storm surge. The lake did come up a lot, but luckily we're a little higher elevated, so we were okay. Lots of trees down otherwise, that was about it, and some power out. But
yeah, it was a tough year with hurricanes, man. Just really, really tough year. I mean, all of Florida, and then what happened in North Carolina too. That's been tough. I know.
Yeah. How did you guys do through the storm?
No problems this year, but in years past, we've the Florida Keys has been, an area where you have multiple storms hitting in a single season, and then usually just one of them. You get a lot of near misses, and you'll get some like a little bit of wind damage or storm damage or whatever, and then there'll be the one just when you think it's over. The one will kind of get you, and we had one get us in Key West. We had another one get Duck Key area, pretty bad, and it's nothing that's any fun to deal with. All that cutting. As soon as you said, you'll see people cutting the drywall out. I immediate flashback to doing that in my own house. It's not great. It's not fun at all. But that is part of living in South Florida. I think is that we all know that that's there. And
right.
It could happen in a year, but let's hope we have a few years off.
Yeah, we definitely need it after those back-to-back storms. There's been so many people moving down to Florida too. I feel like it was a little bit of a wake-up call. Like, this is what we need to expect if you plan to stay here. This is what our normal is. Getting ready to leave your home potentially. All the places along the water having to get evacuated. It really hits home when it's local. So
right,
pretty crazy.
So when you're thinking about like you're building your guide business here, you're getting ready to as soon as you get your captain's license, and you're gonna to start to kind of come up with your ultimate clientele. So if you could fish with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh my goodness. The first name that comes to mind is Flip Pallet, because he's just a legend when it comes to the fly fishing world. And I follow him on social media, and from shows, I've followed him a long time at this point. So it's just cool. He just seems very humble, just obviously an amazing fisherman. So that would be so cool. Oh my gosh, if he came fishing with me, like I would die. Like that would be so cool. He's up there. I mean, Harry Spears, like I follow some of these other podcasts. I mean, they have all these fishermen on, and it's just cool to see all the stories, especially in the fly fishing world. It's relatively new down here. I mean, it's only really started about a generation ago. So hearing all the stories of, them starting out fly fishing for the first time, like it's very inspiring, because they started out from nothing, not knowing anything, they learned what they know now, how far they've come. So it's like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And now I can use what they've learned, and use those same skills here. And it's been, I would say, Flip Pallet first if I had to pick one, but there's a laundry list of others that would be just amazing. But probably within the fly fishing community, I would focus probably there first.
That's cool. You were saying, if they, back in those days where people like Flip Pallet, Chico Fernandez, so many of these other guys, Lefty Cray, were coming down to the Florida Keys, and they were basically taking gear that was not designed for catching tarpon and redfish and snook and giant, even offshore fish. It's not designed for that at all. This was basically trout tackle that they were cutting holes in the side of the reel to like put their finger in there to palm the reel, because like the reel didn't even have an exposed rim on it. Right. So they would like literally cut a hole in it so they could palm the reel with their finger. And they were using they would sand down like heavy monofilament and make their own fly lines, because there were no fly lines that would work around the bridges and stuff like that. It's so fascinating. Like what you're talking about is like, it only is like a generation old. And if you go back and you read some of these books about like how that all started, or you listen to Flip Pallet or any of these guys from that generation talk about how this whole sport kind of originated and evolved into what we have today, which is very high tech, and we have incredible tools.
Very lucky.
Like the fly reels now they're an exquisite piece of machinery that is as good as a spinning reel today at stopping a fish. But back then, it was not that way at all. The reels were basically free spool, and and the rods were like fiberglass, and the fly lines were not even fly lines; they were like sanded down monofilament. Mm-hmm. It's just amazing, like to see where it's come from, and then how good it's gotten now. It's really cool. I mean and it wasn't very long ago.
No, it wasn't. I mean, and they were out there catching some of the biggest sports fish you can catch, tarpon, just hundreds of pounds of fish that on these little makeshift rods and reels. It's really crazy. It's really cool. So I would definitely be like some of the inspiring stories and people I would definitely want to fish with.
Well, you could probably make that happen. A lot of those people are still doing it. Like the regular. We lost Lefty Cray, but a lot of the others are still out there going. They're still doing it. So what about what do you see as far as the health of Tampa area? You hear a lot of people talk about red snapper there. You hear about a lot of the shark situations that we're dealing with in the Florida Keys. Lots of big overpopulations of sharks. Where I've never seen it in certain areas. I've never seen the sharks as aggressive or thick as they are. And I'm just wondering if you're seeing the same kind of thing up there.
Yeah, good question. I feel like it's very place specific. Like I've been down in the Everglades, for example, and you can't even get a cobia to the boat without multiple sharks coming up and trying to eat it. Here, we have a lot of, it's basically a nursery also for sharks, because we have so many good flats that it's very often that you see little bonnet heads and bull sharks like swimming around. We have sharks. I feel like they come and go with the tarpon also. As they migrate through, you'll see more of those bigger hammerheads moving around with them. I think some of it has that we're seeing more sharks too in those scenarios is, for example, at the Skyway Bridge, which is a very well-known, very large bridge down around St. Pete. One of the common ways to catch tarpon is what they call chunking for them. So you just take your thread fins, your frozen thread fins, a lot of captains will catch a bunch themselves, but they're cutting and everything up in real small pieces, and they're basically chumming. It's just throwing it a little bit at a time, letting it drift back. And you're gonna get sharks with that kind of chumming along with the tarpon. So I feel like that also has something to do with it, because we are putting so much chum in the water. You're going to see more sharks with that. And I think also with people fishing for tarpon, the longer you fight the fish, more of a chance that fish is going to be very lethargic when it finally gets released, and it's not going to have as much of a fight to get away from a shark if there happens to be one close. So I think it's kind of a couple different reasons why we may be seeing some more sharks in the area. But again, I feel like it comes and goes with the tarpon migration. And we've been seeing a lot of red snapper there, even though they've like to close the season. There's still a ton out there. So I don't know exactly what they go off of when they're deciding some of these things. Well,
see red snappers and they're like boiling on the surface. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But
and when you're like deep dropping, for example, and the red snapper comes up, that's the swim bladder, you can't always really get it vented very well. So you're trying to release the red snapper, 50% chance it actually lives, because it's so high, it comes up from so far from the bottom that it can't always swim down really very, very well. So, but that recently,
you use the descending devices out there?
We have some, yeah.
I think it's really important. We've been working with Return 'em Right and also the Nature Conservancy on that, because like what you're talking about, like if you have the fish, if you're releasing these fish, because you can't, it's illegal to keep them. You're releasing them and they're dying. That's actually kind of going against our numbers of fish. Like, so if it's less likely that it'll ever open up. So that's what they've been teaching me is like, if we can descend these fish and, release them, have a much higher percentage of fish living, there's going to be a much higher percentage chance that we're going to be able to open this at a time that we, in our lifetimes, I guess, or next year or in a few years. But I think sending devices are super important to at least try, because venting, so you like to say, sometimes it works.
I'm sure not everybody unfortunately has those descending devices though. So
that's one of the things that people say, and that's what Return 'em Right does, is they will send anyone a device.
That's great.
All you have to do is go to the website, the Return 'em Right website. You fill out this little form. It's an educational thing, and they'll send you everything. They'll send you the weight, the descending device, and they're not even selling the descending device. They're just sending it. It's like a government funded organization, and they send you this device. They send you the weight and the whole device and the way to use it. So
that's awesome.
Anybody can do it.
Everybody should have one of those on their boat.
Right. I think they might make you have them. You have to have some sort of tool, a venting tool or something in certain waters, but that's even hard to understand, whether if you're in the water that you're supposed to, you have to have one of those or not, because it's like Gulf or state or federal. All of that is different in my, as far as the chart goes. But, so this year is going to be a really big year for you. You got, your captain's license, more YouTube stuff. What are you hoping? Like, here we are just right after the new year. Are you a resolutions person or a goal-oriented person, or do you just kind of go one day at a time?
I kind of just go with the flow, to be honest. I feel like if you set yourself up for goals, it's like that you're going to make new goals at the beginning of the year, you should have already been doing those same goals. Like, I just want to be consistent, but no, there's a lot of stuff going on this year. I'm very excited. I have some Redfish tournaments planned. I'm going to be going back up to South Carolina for the women's Redfish tournament. That was really fun. So I'm going to go back up there for that. Some other trips. And probably going to be doing some more work with Drive Dry. It's a nonprofit I work with to help create awareness to not drink and drive if you're the captain of the boat. So we have some things in the works on the back end that we'll hopefully be doing another potential boat giveaway and things like that to help raise awareness. So a lot going on this year. I'm so excited. It's winter right now, so it's kind of our off season, just in between these cold fronts, just getting out when we can, trying to get through some scouting, have a Redfish tournament next weekend. But I'm very excited for the year.
All right. Well, there's going to be a lot of great things going on. I can tell you got so many great things going on. And one of the things that you said is that about the goals is that you feel like maybe if you're setting new goals in the beginning of the year, maybe those are the things that you should have done all along. And one of the questions that I've asked a number of guests, and that's always an interesting answer, are what are your non-negotiables in a day? Like, when you wake up, what are the things that you are definitely going to get done, the things that are your non-negotiables, health-wise, in any aspect of your life? What are your non-negotiables?
Yeah, good question. So every day, whether I'm waking up to go fishing or the gym, usually my alarm's going off at 5 a.m. Like I said, if I'm not going fishing, I'm at the gym. So that's usually where I'll be around 5:30 for an hour or two. And come home, eat breakfast, I have a couple dogs. I have a very large garden and chickens, and there's a lot of homestead stuff to kind of keep up with also. So it's usually doing some of those chores in the morning. Then I'll get into some social media stuff, going through messages and trying to plan my content of the day or just being a woman in the world, or like with what I do, and also like my relationship with my husband. I have also like my female chores, like I got to do the dishes and the laundry and all that stuff too. I got to keep up with. So I find a balance for everything. It's a lot different now too that I'm working from home, where I was working in an office for 10 hours a day, that I would have to just wait to do everything on when I get home or like during my hour lunch break. But now I'm home all the time. So I'm usually scattering in chores, like house chores, in throughout my day of just my normal work. Because if I see something that's out of place, I have to fix it. So that's just a double-edged sword there. But it keeps me busy.
Sounds like exercise is definitely a non-negotiable.
Yes. Yeah, definitely exercise. My husband's the same way. We get up at the same time. And I think it's really great to have a partner that is also very dedicated when it comes to fitness, that you kind of have each other to lean on. Like, all right, I don't really feel like waking up, but he's going to get up for the gym, so I got to get up too, and vice versa. So it's a good team. Yeah. So
we have grow in your garden.
Everything. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. We're in our fall garden swing right now. So, I mean, we have everything: cucumbers, string beans, strawberries, carrots, onions, tomatoes, peppers, bananas. So we got a handful of other things I can't think of right now. But it's a lot going on, which is we have really gotten into the homesteading thing, partially because a couple of years ago, for health purposes, that I needed to eat a little cleaner. And, with today's foods, there's just so much stuff in our food that we don't realize is bad for us, that they're sneaking in there. And so we were just really wanting to get into more of a whole foods, like know where we're getting our food from, type of diet. So we kind of started small. I do not expect someone to jump into this big of a homestead, as if you guys know me, I have a very large one. Did not happen overnight. Started very small in the beginning, and you just grow. If you're looking to do any sort of homesteading, I always tell people, my first advice is, well, what do you buy at the grocery store regularly? Start there. Like, you don't want to start growing stuff you're not going to eat, because we trial and errored some things in the beginning that, Garrett doesn't eat eggplants, and we grew so much of it. It's like, why did we grow this? So anyways, so definitely been awesome to do a lot of more homesteading stuff. We have our deep freezers where we get our meat chickens, our cow, our fish, obviously. So we do a lot of chickens.
When you said chickens, I was thinking egg chickens.
Well, those too. Yeah, we have both. So I have 10 egg chickens in the backyard, and then we do meat chickens usually twice a year. Well, you just buy them online, and they come in the post office in like a big box. They'll call you up right when they come in. They're like, all right, your chicks are here, and you literally just go to your normal post office and you just pick up this whole chirping box of little like day-old chickens. And it's crazy that they grow within like 6 weeks. They're already like of size to process. They grow.
Will you do them all at once, or will you do them like as needed?
No, we'll just do them all at once. So usually we do 50 at a time. We split them with another family. We'll kind of go in as a group to do everything, take care of them.
How much land do you have?
Our friends of ours have an acre, so we keep the meat chickens on their lot. So
on 1 acre, you can have this big garden, grow the meat chickens, and have the egg chickens.
Oh yeah, and still have plenty of room for kids, dogs. It's really crazy. You can do a lot on just an acre.
Sure.
So yeah, the meat chickens are awesome though. I mean, like I said, having food that you know exactly where it came from is really cool. So yeah,
I'm into that too. I pay a lot of attention to what I eat, and certainly exercise every day, which is super cool. Do you do videos on your homesteading?
Some videos. Yeah, I've done some videos in the garden. I haven't done a video on the meat chickens yet, because I don't know. You know how YouTube they're sometimes weird about like killing animals, or like you just can't show everything type of stuff. So We also wanted to get a couple rounds of it in because this was already a thought to do a YouTube video for the meat chickens. But we kind of wanted to get a couple rounds in first so we knew what we were doing because we were brand new at it. We have our, I forget the name of it, but it's the machine that defeathers the chickens. So it's a process. When we're ready to process the chickens themselves, there's the four of us. Our friends of ours have 2 kids too, like pretty little, and they come in and help us gutting the chickens and it's kind of, it's not fun, but it's a team building experience, I guess, at that point with friends of ours. And we get it all done in a couple hours. And before you know it, we have chickens in the deep freezer, just like you buy them in the store. And so it's cool also for the kids to see where their food comes from. Sure. And not just think that it comes from the grocery store. So I think that's also really a good trait to start showing kids like where the food comes from type of thing. So
right. I've always thought about like if you had something like that, if you could find somebody else that was growing stuff, and this is how it used to be, like, if you had the chickens, somebody else might be growing a lot of something else, fruit trees or something like that. And then you could go trade chickens for fruit, or you could do, you could trade, and you would know where you would see how they're growing their stuff, and you would want that, and they would want your chickens because they know how you're growing them. It's great to try to get back to that. I always kind of wanted like a neighborhood farm where everybody, not necessarily farm, it wouldn't have to be any bigger than an acre. But just like what you're talking about, where the neighbors all kind of kick in and somebody's in charge of growing something, that they like. And there's a ton of it, whether that's, I don't know, tomatoes or you can grow a lot of tomatoes. Like,
especially on an acre.
A lot, especially on that. But that's really cool. You should do more videos on that. Maybe you should have a whole channel on that. So if you get in trouble for killing chickens, then you don't mess up your other channel.
Yeah, that's true.
That happens. That's the talk I'm hearing right now, is how shorts mess up your YouTube channel. What do you think about that? Do you have any experience with shorts?
I have heard that also, actually, that for friends that I know of that have posted a lot of shorts on their YouTube channels, it actually ended up hurting their stats on their regular longer formed videos. Luckily, I've posted some shorts, but not that many. Probably needed to post more anyways, but it actually kind of helped me in a way, because I mostly just do my long videos on YouTube and keep my short stuff on Instagram. I luckily did not see any big shift of losing views on my videos, since they were all mostly the longer form videos that I kept on there. But I did hear that too, which is interesting.
I think it's specifically on YouTube. I definitely felt it on YouTube, because the shorts do great. They do great, but then the other stuff doesn't do as well as it used to. And then, like, what's going on here? And I've heard a bunch of other people saying that. So I would think that if you're going to do the shorts, then do it on a separate channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't think YouTube ends up paying out very well for the shorts versus the longer form videos, because it's watched. No, because it's all watch time hours. So it's the longer videos that are going to get you the most hours watched and most views at the end of the day, in my opinion. But that's what it is. It's like, as soon as you figure out, as soon as you think you got it figured out, then they change it, like you're talking about. But anyway, all right, 2025 is the year of Erica Lynn. If you don't follow her yet, it's Erica Lynn, Erica_Lynn.2, right? Correct. Yep. That's me.
So that's on Instagram. What's the YouTube?
YouTube is Erica Lynn. So you just search Erica Lynn, I'll pop up. You'll see me. Little fishing icon.
All right. Sounds great. And then how about the charter service? How do people get in touch with you for that?
I haven't quite got that far yet. I'll definitely be posting more about it on social media. I've been back and forth with some names of the charter business. But if you follow me on Instagram, you guys will definitely be one of the first people to find out more of my plans for the whole guiding business and my future women anglers that will come fishing with me. You guys can follow along on there, and I'll keep you guys posted.
All right. Well, good luck. I'm sure it's going to go great. We'll be back next week with another great guest, just like Erica. And if you have guest suggestions, hit me up with a text, 305-930-7346. You can make guest suggestions there or podcast at saltwaterexperience.com, and we'll get them on the show just like we did Erica. All right, Erica, thank you very much. I enjoyed talking with you, and we'll look forward to doing something this year, maybe. Maybe we can do some sort of collaboration or something this year.
That sounds great, Tom. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it. This has been awesome.
All right. Thank you. All right. We'll see you later.
Thanks. Bye, guys.